our National Social Security Fund has saved in 60 years 320 billion in 60 years, because we have been saving on average 200 shillings per person. And you remember, I had a very serious quarrel about it. Of course, I have since pushed the needle. I discussed with the stakeholders. We managed to negotiate the court cases that were in court, and we finally have a new arrangement. Today, every employee saves 6% of their salary, and every employer adds another 6%. That will eventually be money belonging to the employee. Do you know what has happened? The 320 billion we have saved in 60 years, we are actually going to double that money in 4.5 years. That is the kind of difference that savings is going to make. I just wanted to make that point so that I can come back to savings in the Hustler Fund. We have 3.5 billion shillings in savings under the Hustler Fund situation. Many borrowers have been asking us, who is managing this money? What interest am I going to get for the savings I have on my Hustler Fund account? Now we have worked with the World Bank and other development partners. Now KICC is going to be the arm that is going to be investing the savings in the Hustler Fund ecosystem. And last year, we negotiated with banks. We got T-bill rate -3. With now KICC, there will be no -3. All the borrowers will get T-bill rate. If T-bill rate is 11, you will get 11% on your savings. If it goes to 12, you get 12%. It is also an opportunity for those of you who have little money somewhere in an account where banks are paying you 3%, 4%. It is time you move that to the Hustler Fund and you will get 11%. It is good information. We have now made the decision that savings are going to be handled by KICC, and it will strictly be invested in government security so that there is no chance whatsoever of any loss or of any money being misappropriated. So these are the 4 or 5 things that we have today made a decision about. Increase the limits by up to 3 times. We have enhanced the term from 14 to 30 days. We have now a credit score for each and every one of the borrowers, which can be used in the financial sector, not just within the Hustler Fund space. And number 3, we have had a conversation and a decision on savings. Of the 1.5 million people who today will have their credit limits enhanced, the highest being from 50,000 to 150,000, there is another 4 million borrowers who must be listening to me this evening. These 4 million borrowers have maybe an outstanding amount. Maybe they have not paid on time. Maybe they have exceeded, instead of 14 days, they are at 45 days, or they are at 30 days. If they pay, these 4 million borrowers, if they pay their outstanding, the window for them to be moved to the bridge loan, which then doubles or triples their credit limit, exists. So the 4 million people out there who have not paid their money, you have a chance. We are going to assess you. Once you pay, we are going to assess you for 2 months, and then we will graduate you to the bridge loan. We want many to come on board. As you are aware, the whole Hustler Fund intervention was to remove the penalization, the blacklisting, the condemnation of people, but to give them a chance to improve on their credit rating. And that is what we intend to achieve.
My name is Peter Ogutu, a student at the Technical University of Kenya.
Yes,
I have a question to you, Mr. President. Recently, we witnessed a move by the Cabinet Secretary, Dr. Alfred Mutua, where he facilitated the exportation of Kenyan skilled energetic labor to external markets for job opportunities. A good move that we appreciate, but doesn't that move leave the Kenyan economy at a bad place with the deprived skilled labor and or stressed skilled labor that cannot meet its potential? A good example is the medical sector, where we have fewer doctors attending to numerous patients, yet these doctors and nurses still form part and parcel of the skilled labor that are being exported to external market for employment. Thank you.
Alfred, do you want to answer that question? It's a very good question from Mr. Ogutu.
When you look at doctors and nurses, it is not that we do not have enough doctors or nurses being produced. Yes, the numbers are not where we are in terms of United Nations numbers, WHO, of the number per people. It's that we do not have the capacity at this time to absorb all of them. So I see where you're coming up with your point. But I also want to change the mentality where we think that there is what people are thinking of brain drain. What is happening is this. You have, for example, in the ICT sector, a huge number of people that are ready to work, that even if we sent away 100,000 people in ICT, we would still leave this country with so many other people, 500,000, who are still looking for employment. So that thinking that if we are sending people away, we are depriving our country, is not really accurate, because we have more people out of work who can go and work overseas without depriving our Kenyan local market. In our labor studies, we have not seen any cry by any industry saying that they are lacking people because people have left the country. We are producing people in TVETs, producing people in the universities, so we have a bulge of employment. If you look at the countries that have really developed very fast, you look at, for example, the example of Singapore, China, Malaysia, Indonesia. What they did, these tiger economies, was to ensure that their people who went and worked overseas came back home. We are calling this labor mobility because when you're going to work, it doesn't mean that you're going forever. You're going to work for 2-3 years and come back. What we have realized is that when you go overseas, you're able to gain skills. When His Excellency was in Germany, we were talking about Kenyans going to work to produce the German vehicles. So you go to Germany as an engineer, you produce the vehicles for 2 to 3 years, then you come back home. What happens? You're bringing back new talent. Kenya is actually getting brain gain. You're bringing new ways of doing things. When you talk to the construction industry, for example, construction industry are now looking for people who have worked overseas. If you are a plumber, if you are a mason, if you are an interior designer and you have worked in Dubai, the big companies working in Kenya want to employ you because your skills are a bit higher than the market, than the population in Kenya that is competing with you for the job market, because you have gained new skills. When you go to the UK as a nurse, you go to the US as a doctor, and you gain new skills in those hospitals that you're working in the US or in Italy and other places. When you come back, you're hot cake because of the brain gain.
My name is Felix Chege. I run a company called Real Sources Africa. First, I'd start by commending your efforts on making the African Free Continental Trade Area work. I have been one of the beneficiaries of it. Being a beneficiary means that we got appointed by the AFCFTA Secretariat as a trading company on behalf of Kenya. And what we've been doing is that we've been supporting aggregation exercises for export. As late as a few weeks ago, we launched a Trade Connect initiative, an initiative that looks at shipping 1,000 containers over a period of 12 months to 5 African countries. And we've seen a lot of support from financial institutions in structuring of trade finance elements or instruments that are meant to promote inter-Africa trade in terms of aggregation. And at the same time, we've been able to do market development campaigns to be able to promote African or Kenyan manufactured products across the continent. Our main ask is investment more in market development campaigns. We have a lot of African countries that don't know what we actually manufacture as a country. And we've realized that this information is really important when it comes to providing an alternative of the products that we can ship to the export market within the African context. Other than that is using the products themselves as a collateral for transactions. We've been able to work around an aspect of how can we get our manufacturers to use the products that they manufacture as a collateral when going to the export market. We're looking at, or our ask could be, how can we use the credit guarantee scheme that you have already initiated to convert it to be an export guarantee line that can be used by our manufacturers to be able to guarantee them payments after they ship their products. Other than that, I thank you for really looking into the protocol on youth and women in trade. And we've leveraged on that to be able to access a lot in terms of just opening doors at the Secretariat. I'm a 27-year-old, and I'm privileged to be among the people who represent this country at the Secretariat.
Thank you very much, Mr. You did so well that you've given me some homework to do on some aspects. And I will take back the homework and see what we can do better. But congratulations on what you're doing on behalf of many young people in Kenya, taking advantage of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. It's a market of 1.4 billion people, and Kenya needs to move full speed and take its space and place in that market so that we can better leverage the market infrastructure that exists in the Africa Continental Free Trade Area to benefit our own enterprises and our own people.